What is up, my dudes? It is Gospel here. I'm here to talk about my part 2 of my PvP series. I want to talk about non-Jedi templates. We are now in Publish 9 on Basilisk, which means we can unlock Jedi, but no Jedi have unlocked. It'll be a few months, so I'm just going to talk about non-Jedi templates for now. I'm going to go over the staples of some of the templates, some staples and templates, I guess, first, and then I'm going to talk about, mixing it up and matching it up. Talk about what's viable, talk about what's not viable, talk about, everything PvP template related for non-Jedi. So, a few of the staples in PvP that most people, they usually get these when they're trying to theory craft a new template or theorize something, not that there's much to theorize left because it's all been kind of done. First thing I'm going to talk about is Pistoleer. Pistoleer, as a whole class, not that great. Honestly, the damage is weak. They don't have any armor piercing. Or maybe it's light armor piercing or no. Actually, I think it's no armor piercing for their Geonosian blaster. They can't hit their mind shot. They can't do any mind hits, so they're kind of bad. But this tree here in Pistoleer, this Pistoleer tree is rad. It gives you defense versus stun, defense versus blind, defense versus dizzy plus 40. Then it gives you defense versus knockdown plus 50, and defense versus posture change down 20. This is a pretty staple tree that people get in their PvP templates, especially a lot of melee, because it also gives you ranged damage mitigation. How damage mitigation works for both ranged and melee is it takes damage off the top of your opponent's weapon. So it's 20% at ranged damage mitigation 1, 40% at 2, and 60% at 3. And the way that works is if your minimum damage on, like say your opponent has a min damage weapon of 100 and their max is 200 and you have ranged damage mitigation 2, like say their weapon is ranged, right? What's going to do is it's going to shave 40% off the top of their max damage. So effectively, their max damage is going to be 160 instead of 200. So the damage difference between min and max is 100, and it's going to shave 40% off the top. So it's going to be 100 to 200, and it's going to go down with range damage mitigation 2 from 100 to 100 to 160. And then if you've got damage mitigation 1, it's 100 to 180, and if it's damage mitigation 3, it's 100 to 140. So range damage mitigation, or damage mitigation in general, is really solid. So this tree right here gives you a lot of defensive stats. It's just so great. This published though, range might not be as prominent. I know a lot of, not a lot, but some of my guildies are still going to be using ranged weapons, and it's still viable, so this still has value. Besides the fact that this tree alone just gives so many defenses, it's actually insane. But if you're melee, if you're going with one of the melee classes, it's definitely something to consider, especially this defense versus blind if you're swordsman, which I'm about to go over pretty soon here. The next staple is Doctor. Dots are a huge thing. People are using combat medics to throw out insane poisons. People are lighting you on fire, and it just is like a bad time all around. So what people do is they get Doctor 4x, 3x, and that allows them to cure poison, fire, and disease. And also the third tree gives you the medicine use to be able to use fire blankets and AoE poison cures. I definitely suggest getting Janta cures if you can, especially in AoE. I think you need like 70 med use stuff for this. I can actually check right now, I'll tell you. Let's see, my medicine use is at 80. Okay, so you can go to 80 med use. 80 med use things on Doctor, which is fine. Yeah, so these are pretty much the staples. Once you have those two things, you can do these melee templates. Now I'll go over the melee templates and what the roles are. On this character, I'm a swordsman. Swordsman is like pretty much the #1 DPS in the game for PvP. Maybe actually the only exception being Rifleman, but the thing is, the difference between them is that swordsman has something called toughness. Well, all melee have something called toughness. In swordsman, I believe you get 43 toughness. Let me check here. Yes, you get two-handed melee toughness 43. And what toughness does Toughness for each class reduces damage 1% for every point that you have from it. So I have 43 toughness as a swordsman. With 43 toughness, that reduces damage by 43% against other melee only. It only reduces damage against other melee. This includes Jedi sabers. So I take 43% less damage against sabers. I take less damage against VKs or vibro-knucklers, fencer, pikemen, other swordsmen, etc. So it makes you tankier, right, against melee. Swordsman has like the second highest melee or toughness, I guess. The first being TK, third being fencer, and last being pikeman. But yeah, it's a pretty decent class. You get that melee mitigation 3 at the end. It doesn't have too many state defenses. It doesn't have many state defenses really at all. I mean, it's got some, but not many, not much, which kind of sucks. But it's okay as long as you've got that Pistoleer tree. You can stack your defenses decent enough to where you won't get, stated every time someone tries to apply a state to you. Especially blind. Blind is a huge thing for swordsmen because their power hammers that are crafted from accolade bones usually have negative accuracy modifiers, and that really sucks for swordsmen. So blind is actually like huge. If you're blinded, you're not hitting anybody as a swordsman. Next up, we're going to go over Fencer. Fencer it's good against Jedi, and it's good support in group PvP. So it'll do damage to Jedi, but it won't do much damage to non-Jedi because of the 90 base armor that they have with the stun armor, and now there's like 66% stun PSGs, and then you got that toughness, and then they only have like light armor piercing, so they don't really do much damage. But they do have this useful thing where they can blind. Now, blind is going to be huge against two classes in particular. It's going to be huge against swordsmen, and it's going to be huge against Jedi. Jedi only have like 100 accuracy at Master Lightsabers, and swordsmen I think have like 140 or something like that, maybe 130, and they can tape like plus 25, and that is negated by the fact that their power hammers suck so bad. It's like, I think like a negative 39, 36 modifier to their accuracy or something like that. So blind for Fencer is huge. It's great support. What you're basically going to end up doing is running around. You're going to have, hopefully you're going to have dot weapons, right? I'm going to make another video about gearing. You're going to have your weapon. You're going to like run around. You're going to blind people, and they're not going to hit your team. So you're going to apply pressure on the enemy team to like cure their blinds or just peel for your own team, which is great. So Fencer is like a great class. I think they only have like 30-something toughness and maybe like 32 toughness, which kind of sucks. It makes them a little squishy. But the cool thing about Fencer is they have like a ton of ranged and melee defense, and they also have a ton of state defenses. It's almost like the Pistoleer tree. The only difference is they don't have the defense versus knockdown like Pistoleer does. But they still have good... Oh, actually, they do have defenses or knockdown. Okay, never mind. They're great then. Yeah, so Fencer, awesome class. The only thing they don't have, it's defense versus stun that they don't have. That's right. Okay, so Fencer, great class. Do suggest it. The next one I'll go over is Pikeman. Pikeman's pretty alright. Hopefully you do have dot weapons. What makes Pikeman really good is they have Polearm Sweep 2. Polearm Sweep 2 is an AoE KD, and while there will be squad leaders constantly curing Dizzy and Stun, the initial KD is actually a 5-second delay, meaning that you can't do anything for 5 seconds after you're knocked down, even if you stood up immediately after. So it's kind of like a 5-second silence that cannot be broken. The same actually goes for Swordsman Two-Handed Area Attack 3. This is an AoE posture change down, and the posture change down is a 2.5-second silence. So those abilities are really great. Pikemen, if they have some like mind fires or health fires, any kind of fire really, they're using their Polearm Sweep 2, knocking people down, lighting them on fire. That fire is going to tick, probably. Because it just is. There's just so much time that you can use. The combat queue really messes things up for a lot of people. So it's super effective. Let me put it that way. Pikemen, all these classes, by the way, are going to do great against Jedi. Every melee class can do fine against Jedi. The only problem is it's probably a little bit rougher for pikemen and swordsmen because pikemen and swordsmen don't have any blinds. And blinding Jedi and having melee defense is actually like pretty huge against a Jedi. Like they won't hit you as long as you have those. But you can still kill a Jedi, no doubt. No doubt you can kill a Jedi. For sure. But with the Doctor template, you might want to actually, like, you might need to play Stacker, and I'll go into a little bit into that. Talk about Stacker in a little bit here. The next melee class is TK, Terrascasi Artist, TK, TKM, TK, whatever people want to call it. Now, TK is actually pretty bad against anything except Jedi. They don't really do any damage to non-Jedi because of the 90 base armor. Even if they're ranged, and they have no toughness, they're still not going to take much damage. So TK is pretty much a Jedi, like it's defense versus Jedi class. However, at TKM, Master Terrascasi, you get 57 toughness, which is the highest toughness in the game. That's 57% damage reduction. So you are extremely, extremely tanky. One of the things about that is this tree right here gives you a lot of toughness in TK. So a lot of people pick this up, and I think they also pick up some of this. Yeah, they also pick up some of this tree to get a little bit more toughness. I think this will put you at like 42 toughness, something like that. Not 42. It'll give you, I think right here is, like right here it's like 47 toughness or 52. I can't remember. Anyways, this tree alone is sufficient. I think it's 47. Actually, yeah, it's 47. But yeah. So anyways, this tree is actually super good if you're ranged. It gives you melee damage mitigation 2, and it gives you a lot of toughness. And the reason I say it's good against range, even though it doesn't provide that much state defense, although it does provide some state defense, which is nice. It's mostly there for that melee damage mitigation and that toughness. Now, I know toughness doesn't apply if you're holding a ranged weapon, but the idea behind it is that if you're holding a ranged weapon, then you are getting focused. Just switch to your melee. Just switch to your fist. Just unequip your rifle or your carbine or whatever. Switch to your fist, and you're just instantly going to start taking less damage till your team can peel for you, and you can switch back to your weapon and start doing some damage. The next one is Rifleman. I think Rifleman is pretty much the only viable range class anymore. One, because strafe shot does a lot of damage. With people, inevitably Jedi going to be using Dervish, a lot of people are going to take health damage. I don't think there'll be a whole lot of one-handed lightsaber spam. If there is, that'll be funny. But even if there is people targeting Mind, they also get Headshot 3, and they get Mind Shot 2 and Mind Shot 1. So Rifleman's still a good option if you have a good rifle and you strafe shot someone just right. If you're strafe shotting a Jedi and you get past their saber block, you're actually going to hit them very hard, probably over 1,000 damage. And in the middle of a fight, a couple strafe shots hitting a Jedi might actually kill them. So unexpectedly too, they might just take boom boom damage and they're dead. So I think Rifleman's still a viable class. If you have a high damage rifle, now is definitely the time to put an 80k on that thing and bring it out to PvP. I do not suggest Rifleman for solo PvP at all. It is not that great for solo, but it's great damage support. Meaning you just have to have your team kind of peel for you and make sure you stay alive. But as long as you do that, you can get some serious damage off with Rifleman. Carbonear. Carbonear used to be really nice because they could apply states. If you have like dot weapons, it could be alright. They have suppression fire, which is like an AoE kneel, or cone kneel I should say. They also have charge shot 2, which is an AoE knockdown, or cone knockdown I should say. And then they've got full auto area, which is supposed to state. I know in Publish 8 they did not fix it. I'm not sure if they did fix it in Publish 9. But Carbonear, it used to be really good. Or really good in that you can have like 1 or 2 on your team. Uh, but yeah, Carbonear is okay. I don't really suggest it unless you have like really high, like a high amount of dot weapons. So if you're able to switch through weapons and dot people up, then I can suggest it. But really, if you don't have dot weapons, I really would not bother with it. Pistoleer as like a master Pistoleer would not bother with it at all. Doesn't have a whole lot of damage actually. Doesn't have any really good weapons. Don't suggest master Pistoleer in the slightest. I just suggest this tree right here. Now, so basically the staple is if you're going Rifleman or Carboneer, you're gonna want to take this tree in TK, and as well as Doctor 4030. And if you're going melee, you're gonna want to take this Pistoleer tree. So that's basically, so you know, if you're going range, you've got range and damage mitigation 3 as well as melee damage mitigation 2, and then if you're going melee, you've got melee damage mitigation 3 and range damage mitigation 2. There is one more option for you if you are melee. You do not necessarily have to go the Pistoleer tree, but I do suggest it. Master Brawler. Master Brawler is really good. You can opt out for the Pistoleer tree to get you'll have enough skill points to get Master Brawler. Master Brawler is good for Fencer and Swordsman, I think. Well, it's actually kind of bad for Swordsman because you really do need that defense versus blind, but you can still do it if you've got something like a weapon, like a curved sword or something that's comparable to a lot of the high damage Acklay hammers on the server. Then, you know, feel free to do Master Brawler because blind is not going to affect you as much as it would normally. But you get two-handed lunge 2, you get one-handed lunge 2, you get all the lunge 2s really, and what this is just basically like a 20-meter knockdown. It's not an AoE, it's a single target, but allows you to hit your target from a distance and allows you to knock them down. And as we said before, that knockdown is a 5-second silence, and that's pretty useful. As well as getting Intim 2, which is just an Intimidate that lasts longer. But also you get Warcry 2. Now Warcry 2 is a pretty big boost against Warcry 1, where this is a cone that will silence people for 20 seconds as long as they don't take damage. Now there'll be a lot of AoE this publish, so I'm not exactly sure how effective Warcry 2 will be, but it might still be pretty effective, especially if there's that one range guy just like trying to, you know, strafe your Jedi or whatever, your team. You can just Warcry him real quick and, you know, he's out of the way. He's out of the AoE, Dervish, pikeman spam, etc. Master Brawler I would definitely suggest if you're maybe doing TK Doc against a Jedi, or Fencer Doc against a Jedi. It's possible to do. Just because it gives 5 extra toughness to like every class. That's 5% less damage you take, which is nice. As far as combat classes, all the combat classes for Jedi go. If you're going to bounty hunt, I guess we'll go over bounty hunter. If you're going to bounty hunt, what you're going to need is you're going to need investigation 3 if your plan is to hunt Jedi. And get range damage mitigation 2, but it doesn't matter because you're hunting Jedi. What I suggest if you're doing bounty hunter, I mean, if you're geared for it, you can do whatever you like pretty much. But you can still grab this Pistoleer tree and still get your melee class of choice against a Jedi. Now Jedi, unless they're defender, their blind is not going to matter too much against you if you're a swordsman, because they don't have much melee defense. And without melee defense, they just really will eat pretty much every melee hit they take. Saber block doesn't affect melee, so you can just hit them over and over and over again, unless they're defender. Defenders, they get quite a bit of melee defense. In fact, they can cap their melee defense pretty easily, and it might actually be a struggle for swordsmen to actually hit a defender, but it'll be okay for the most part. So if you're going to go melee bounty hunter, that swordsman's an option. The tankiest option is TK. They will definitely struggle to kill you. They're going to have so much force. They're going to burn to just get through you because you have 57 toughness. You have the Pistoleer tree. I mean, you might not even need medic, to be honest. I mean, medic, some people do grab some medic. I think they might grab like injury treatment or medicine use in medic. so they can use like greater stims, better stims, like stim Cs or something. But for the most part, you're not going to really struggle against a Jedi as a TKM, especially with the 66% PSGs that they have right now. And another great thing about TK is they have, where is it? They have unarmed blind somewhere in here. Oh, actually, they get it in Brawler. So, yeah, you get unarmed blind 1, and then I also believe that they're hit unarmed hit 3 actually has a chance to blind as well. So you're gonna have a lot of melee defense because you're a TK. They get a ton of melee defense in their combat XP tree, and then you blind them, and they're just not gonna hit you very often, and it's pretty much GG for that Jedi. You know, you're gonna have a fun time bounty hunting. Pikeman as a bounty hunter, same thing. The only thing you don't get is a blind. You will have less toughness. I believe you have 27 toughness at Master Pikeman, which is pretty bad. Not nearly as much as the TK. Less than half, actually, but just a little less than half. But you still have that melee damage mitigation 3. Not that it's super OP against Jedi or anything like that, but you're going to be able to pump out some damage on Jedi, and you do get some defense versus blind in here, defense versus dizzy, etc., which will go nicely with that Pistoleer tree if you're just going stacker BH. I do suggest, I mean, you might want to test, see how it goes with medic versus stacker. Stacker shouldn't really have any problems, though, I don't think. You might not even need to heal, to be honest, with the insane PSGs that are here. The damage you take, you'll probably out-regen it, especially because you're not going to wear any armor. You don't have any encumbrance going on there, so you'll be just totally fine. Bounty Hunter as a group PvP thing, not that great, honestly. Don't really suggest it. There's a couple lines in the code where if you're holding a weapon, a ranged weapon, people attacking you get an accuracy bonus. So not having, I think it's melee that gets the accuracy bonus. So even if you have like a lot of defenses arranged, and you're wanting to use some of these bounty hunter specials, it's still gonna suck. Like, you're still gonna get hit pretty much every time. It's actually really, really broken for ranged. They can't really stack their defenses, melee and ranged defense as well as other classes. One thing that you will need to do, this is more of a passive role. For people, your group is always going to need a master squad leader. Before, we used to just use like let's see here, I think we had like a squad leader that had XX13 because you get form up. Now form up, what that does is it clears dizzy and stun on the entire group, and it's planet wide, so you can just spam this. Basically you dual log, right? You have your squad leader of the group, and he just spams form up and he spams retreat, and retreat is like perma burst run basically. And form up, you know, with form up spam and retreat spam, you just basically can't be dizzy, can't be stunned, or I mean you will, but it'll go away in a second. And then you're always running around super fast, so you're always catching up to people and whatnot. But now with Master Squad Leader, before there was a bug, and that bug was that these squad leader defenses and terrain negotiation, so the melee and range defense and the terrain negotiation, they only lasted for like 5 minutes before when you were in a group. Now they're permanent. So when a squad leader would invite you to the group, you would get their buffs, these passive buffs, for like 5 minutes. And then it would go away, but now they're permanent. So at Master Squad Leader, you're giving your group an extra 30 in ranged melee defense. All defenses cap at 125, but that is the effective cap, but there are things that will allow you to go over the effective cap, such as food and Squad Leader. Squad Leader lets you go over the effective cap. So if you're capped at 125 melee and ranged defense, Squad Leader pushes you to 155, and that actually works. It's like actually crazy how well it is. So Master Squad Leader is a must. Now, if you want to do a stacker Pistoleer tree, pretty much a must. Stackers are pretty much only good against Jedi. I don't really suggest playing a stacker. You can get enough defense as is with that Doctor template, honestly, and you just make up the foods, you know, the foods and tapes will fill the gaps of whatever you're missing. But Stacker is still good against Jedi. You won't need as much gear if your only purpose is to kill Jedi and all you want to do is kill Jedi. You want to maybe sit in CNET and duel around all day. Then you can go Stacker. Mouse is a little messed up there. So Stacker, you're gonna grab, you're gonna go to Fencer. You're gonna grab probably this tree here, which is Defense versus States, and Knockdown. You're gonna grab this, Defense versus States, and then maybe you'll grab this tree because it gives you melee and range defense, like tons of it. Unless you just want to straight up go Master Fencer, then that's fine too. Same, and then you can go like Swordsman and then TK or something or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Stacker is so easy. With the amount of information you've gotten in this video, you should be able to figure out your own template, to be honest. Another thing is, Combat Medic. I almost forgot about Combat Medic. Combat Medic is really great. I think this publisher, they're going to really shine even before they, more so than they did in the last publish for PvP. And the reason this is because Combat Medic can AoE heal health and action, and they can also range deal, which is really nice. So with the amount of dervish spam that there will be from Jedi, they're going to mostly be hitting health, they're going to mostly be hitting action. I mean, they will get some head hits off on there, or some mind hits off in there, but mostly it's going to be health and action, and Combat Medic is going to be a huge pressure relief from that. So what I suggest is going Master Combat Medic. If you're going to play Combat Medic, what I suggest is going Master Combat Medic. You grab over here this TK tree that gives you the toughness. And then I suggest also getting Doctor for X3X. So you can, with this template, you're not any good at, you're just pure support. You're pure support. I mean, I guess you're also damaged too, but you're pure support. You'll never 1v1 anybody. But what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to throw poisons. Okay, in an AoE, you're going to be able to throw single poisons, throwing out those 1k plus mind poisons. You might even want to make health poisons, actually, this publish. Health poisons might actually be good. I'm going to make a video. I know I said I'm going to make a video about gear and foods later, but health poisons might even be great. And then you can also single target heal mind, though I don't know if I suggest it. There might be when PvP actually starts picking up, there might be actually Jedi healers that will heal individuals' mind. But for the most part, you can negate all the dervish spam by just throwing out some AoE heals, and it's not just a little bit of heals; it's a lot of healing that Master Combat Medic pushes out. So I definitely suggest it. Definitely need a couple. I would actually suggest a couple Combat Medics in your group. They're sick. Their poisons are sick. Their heals are sick. They're just a great class, great support class. This publish, and I actually plan on playing one because it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun. I have one already. Commando. Now Commando is this is secret OP, and I was thinking about not telling people about this. But this is actually going to be retarded. Commando is like the most broken thing in the fucking game. It sucks. The class sucks, but against like pretty much everybody. But their heavy weapons do not get blocked by Jedi. And what I mean by heavy weapons is I mean their rocket launchers, their lightning beam cannons, their heavy acid cannons. They can just hit Jedi super hard. The only thing that's going to negate that damage is Jedi Toughness, and Jedi Toughness negates all damage except lightsabers. So the max a Jedi can get is if they get Master Defender is 45 Jedi Toughness, which is 45% reduction against everything except sabers. Jedi also get, lightsaber toughness, but they don't get, lightsaber toughness doesn't protect against any ranged. So with this, you're going to hit them, and you're going to hit them hard as hell. Like, it's so broken. I've tested this out. It hits them so stupidly hard. That's the only reason you would ever play Commando. Honestly, that's the only reason. But it's actually hilarious how stupid it is. Like, it's really broken. Trust me on this. It is stupid broken against Jedi. Like, you'll like two-shot them. It's actually dumb. So if you want to carry one of these into PvP, if your enemy has like a lot of Jedi, just bring a Commando, craft up some really mean rocket launchers, get them damage slices, and just pew pew. out of Jedi and just watch them just die in like 2 hits. It's actually stupid. That's pretty much it as far as combat classes go. Smuggler's not really any good because that's just talking about Pistoleer. Ranger is not good for combat at all. Yeah, pretty much went over everything. Really happy you guys tuned in. I'm going to make another video about gearing and food in my next video. And then that'll be pretty much it, I think, as far as it goes. Maybe I'll go over making a strategy video about how to actually play the game and maybe group strategies and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think I'm done here. And thanks for watching, guys. Catch y'all later.